Hey guys, so for this week's video, I made a full body stretching routine. This is perfect for before a workout or after, or even on just your rest day if you need a full body stretch. How we're going to do this stretching routine is I'm just going to talk you through each stretch as we go along, so no distractions with timers or anything like that, so just listen to my voice and let's follow along. To begin, we're going to start seated, cross-legged on our mat, and we're going to just slowly roll our neck around and get that head moving. Move into stretching the arms, pulling one arm across the body and hooking it with the other one. Now we're going to switch to the other side, doing the same thing, keeping the arm straight as you pull it across and holding it. Now we're going to go over into our above head stretch. So we're going to pull one elbow down by our back to see how far we can reach. Now same thing on the other side. We're going to use that one arm to pull the opposite elbow down towards the back. Next, we're going to lean on one elbow, stretching the side of the body as we hold it there. The goal of this stretch is to have the top arm eventually reach the ground. And switch. Shake it out a bit as we transition into our next stretch, what will be some cat-cows. Rounding the back as we breathe out and arching it as we breathe in. Into our puppy dog stretch as we lift the sit bone up towards the sky and reach those arms right in front, feeling a stretch in the shoulders. Now for an even deeper stretch, we're going to walk our hands to one side, getting that side stretch again. And then switch to the other side. Now we're going to thread the needle, so put one arm underneath the other to get that extra shoulder stretch. And now we're going to switch to the other side, keeping those arms perpendicular to each other. Now lifting back up, we're going to move into our one-legged hamstring stretch, having one leg bent with the inner foot touching the inner thigh. And then we're reaching towards that opposite leg, trying to get as far as possible. This all depends on how flexible you are, So if you are more flexible, you can reach towards your toes or foot, but if you aren't, just reach either towards your knee or your calf, and we're gonna hold. Now we're going to switch over into a glute stretch. So you're going to use that foot that was bent before and cross it over the straight leg and squeeze it towards your body. Now if this is deep enough, you can stay there. Otherwise you can do a spinal twist, twisting the opposite way of your leg. And release. Now we're going to switch over into our other side, going into that hamstring stretch on the other leg. Reaching for either the knee, the calf, or the foot. Now we're going to lift up and again go into that glute stretch, crossing the leg over and pulling it in towards the chest, trying to keep that back nice and straight. If you're comfortable right here, you can stay in this position. Otherwise, you can also add that spinal twist, looking the opposite direction of where your knee is facing. Now we're going to stand up and going into a forward fold. You go as far as your flexibility allows, if that means reaching the floor or if that means just reaching for the calf. You can also try bending your knees, moving around a little bit, just doing as your body feels comfortable with. Now we're going to stand back up and go into another hamstring stretch, making the legs in a triangle position, keeping those hips squared, feet facing the same way towards the top of the mat as you bring your chest down to the thigh. Now we're going into our lunge. So you want to push those hips forward, and if you want an even deeper stretch, especially in your quad, you can pull that back leg up. Now we're going to switch over into the other side, starting with that triangle quad stretch, reaching as far as comfortable for your body today. Into that lunge once again, pushing those hips forward as you keep them squared. Either keep staying right here or lifting up that back leg, keeping your balance. Standing forward fold, but this time we're going to have our legs farther apart. You can either reach for the ankles and grab onto them, or you can reach for the knees or wherever you're at. Just hanging there as your body loosens. Now we're going to go into another shoulder stretch. As we stand up, we're going to interlace our fingers and fold over, feeling that nice stretch in the back of the shoulders. Now we're going to come down into our downward dog and just stay there for a little bit, taking a few breaths, walking it out, stretching those calves, whatever feels comfortable for us today. Now we're going to go into our one-legged pigeon pose. So bringing that one foot forward and keeping it bent as we sit on top, keeping our hips squared. You can either stay up or lean down and reach forward, resting your head on your mat as we just hold. Another variation of this pose is to lift back up and reach for the back foot as you have another quad stretch. Now going back into that down dog as we transition into the other side of our pigeon pose. Either staying up on our hands or reaching down towards our mat and laying our forehead against our mat. Now moving out of that, we can go back into that quad stretch like we did on the other side if you feel comfortable, or you can just stay in your pigeon for these last few seconds. Now moving out, going back into that down dog last time and getting a nice cobra stretch here. This is really good if you worked out on your abs or for your back, and if it feels really tight, you can also go like this onto your elbows. Now to finish up, we're just going to stretch a little bit on our wrists, just rolling them around whichever way feels natural. Just about wraps up our video for today. Let me know if you like these kinds of videos, more calm and stretching, or if you like more intense workouts. But thanks for watching and see you next week.